Did you know that only 9% of business owners in the United States right now are utilizing YouTube to grow their business? Business owners, you are missing out on an incredible opportunity to reach your target audience, to sell more of your products, and to make an impact in your communities. And on today's Grow with Video live show, we're going to be talking all about the 7 steps, the 7 things that one business owner has used to exponentially grow his business, reach more people, and has been able to grow a YouTube channel to over 1 million subscribers. We're covering all of that and more in today's Grow with Video live show. Welcome back to the Grow with Video live show. My name is Heather Torres, one of the hosts here at Think Media for this show. And I am so fired up because we are going to be diving all into business on YouTube. Now, if you are just getting started as a business owner, maybe you are in the financing space or real estate space, or maybe you are a craftsman like today's guest, you are going to want to be locked in for this episode because we're going to be talking about 7 ways that you could be growing your YouTube channel and why you need to be using YouTube right now as a business owner. And here's the thing. You don't need all the fancy gear and all the lighting and a huge YouTube studio. All you need is a smartphone to get started, and I'm going to be sharing more about that with you today. Today I am going to be bringing on my guest, who is Mike Quist from Stone Coat Countertops, is the company that he grew, and we're going to be talking all about that. But a little background is Mike is the husband of 19 years to his wife Catherine, and he is a father of 4 sons. He's a contractor, an entrepreneur, an author, an artist, and a motivational speaker. Mike and Catherine started multiple businesses, including kitchen and bathroom remodeling, cabinet manufacturing, granite slab countertops, and are known worldwide for the largest consumer epoxy company, Stone Coat Countertops. Mike and Catherine, they've become world famous on YouTube with over 250 million views, 1.4 million subscribers, and they built Stone Coat Countertop from their dining room table, their living room, and they generated over $100 million in revenue from their business. Mike cares more about his wife and his kids, and he's dedicated right now to free time. And I'm so excited because he's going to be sharing some knowledge today about the 7 tips for growing on YouTube as a business owner. So welcome to the show, Mike Quist.
Thank you so much, Heather, and I really appreciate that intro, and I appreciate your relationship since day one. Thank you so much for having me on this channel.
It is my pleasure. And I love that we get to interview our success students. You know, Mike, you've been a part of what we've been doing here at Think Media for almost half a decade now. I mean, I feel like you were one of our starter students and you've really grown with us. And it's been incredible to see what you and your wife have been able to create from the power of YouTube. So why don't you tell everyone just a little bit about your story? Because I think it's fascinating that video has been something that you really jumped on early on and you had no clue what you were doing, right?
Absolutely no clue. I started with a flip share camera, if anybody remembers what those were. And we actually started in our dining table. I didn't know how to turn on a computer. And I knew that my before and after pictures for original clients really helped sell our services. And then doing home shows, I realized that playing a video of our services was even better. And then I would hand out DVDs that we burned. And then I realized I don't like burning DVDs. I found out about YouTube. I said I could send a link instead of burning a DVD, and our close rate for all of our sales really went up as we sent our bids with these links to what we did. And then I realized I was getting these inquiries from all over the country. Hey, can you come do my project? And I'm going, no, I can't fly to, Wisconsin to do your project. However, it let me understand, why don't I teach people what it is I'm doing, offer the same products that I found over 10, 15 years of searching for the right methods and the best practices. And ultimately that led to selling a product accidentally through YouTube. But understanding the power of video by searching out, realizing that if I made better video content with a real purpose driven idea, and I learned how to sell, act like a lamb, sell like a lion. When I learned how to do this through video by people like Heather and Sean, it definitely changed the way we think about business and changed our entire trajectory forever.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch your journey. And I love that you didn't even know how to use a camera.
No,
And really, what I love so much about when you go and you watch what you've been able to produce on your channel, you do keep it really simple still. It's not like you're, high production. You really are keeping it simple so that other content creators just like you can keep it simple.
absolutely. We started getting down. One of our goals a few years ago was to be better than DIY Network or better than HGTV, and we produced some very high quality videos and went for the moon with it. And to be honest, they were still base hit videos in a lot of respects. And people care about authenticity. They care about the information. They care about what we learned is they care about the 10x rule. What we call that is you save them 10 times their money, you save them 10 times their time, or you make them 10 times their money. If you do one of those three things, the quality of our video didn't matter nearly as much as those three principles.
I want to jump into these tips, but man, I just love seeing what you guys are creating over on the Stone Coat channel. Let's jump into tip number one, though. And these are your tips that you've used over the last, I would say probably 7-8 years of as you've been growing this channel. And number one is that you want to give away massive value surrounding your business. And this holds a lot of business owners back, right? They think, well, if I'm giving away for free, what do I charge for? So why don't you break down this and why this is a tip for business owners?
You have to give to get. I learned that from actually watching Think Media and Gary Vaynerchuk and channels like that. I learned that if I watched Think Media and I learned a specific principle about a camera, I could actually buy that camera. I could go up, learn how to use it, implement what I was taught, and that increased my revenue. When I learned something that was that valuable to me for free, the moment that you guys had your first Grow with Video live event, my wife and I were probably the first ones to buy tickets. Like we were so thankful for all that free information. I couldn't wait for what you were charging for. I copied that same principle in our business. Is we're going to give away all the information that took me 15 years to figure out, maybe even longer than that. And I just simply gave it away to the internet. Somebody wants to give it away. The information wants to be free. If you choose to be that person, you create a loyal audience that can't wait to support you when you have your product, your service, your event, whatever that may be.
Yeah. And I think, one thing that's so important is that mind shift of moving the free line of what you're doing. And, as a contractor, as someone who makes your money from actually going to clients, what was that fear like for you at all when you got started with giving this away for free?
It was massive fear. My wife and I didn't want it. We would go to home shows. Our booth would be massively packed, which was like we won the lotto. People were at our booth. They wanted to buy our service, but every other contractor at these shows would come over and say, "How are you doing this? What are you doing? How did you make that?" And we were hiding it. We were hiding it close to our chest. In fact, I made a DVD set, and the DVD set was all the tips, tools, and tricks of how to do these countertops that I learned how to create. But I was charging $2,000 for these DVDs. In 2 years, I got one person to buy that set of DVDs. They liked what I was doing, but they didn't know how much value was in those DVDs. So I got one person to buy it. They bought one kit from me in 2 years. I got so frustrated, Heather. I took all of my samples in my shop and I literally had a bonfire outside on the gravel. I was crying. I was broken. I was beat up. I gave up. And my wife, thank goodness, said, "Don't give up." I actually went through that temper tantrum twice. I did it again a few months later. And finally, when we started giving away the same videos I made, I published on YouTube for free. That's when our business actually started and took off.
It's incredible. And I love that, sometimes it just takes those moments of frustration, right? Sometimes it takes those moments of, am I doing this right? Are we going to make this happen? And then all of a sudden, right, you start seeing this massive success. And I just want to play just a little bit of some of the early videos so that people can see, you know, this is not HDTV, but I think it's actually better than HDTV. Talk about what this type of video was for you. I mean, who's videotaping it? What does this look like? And you just started putting it out for free.
Yeah, this was just one of our simple remodel videos that I made for customers that I'm kind of talking to people. But I just had my helper. I had one guy working for me, and he would go around and film, and I would talk. And this is before we even remodeled the kitchen. We're talking about what we're going to do. But when you bring people behind the scenes and what it is that you do, they see you as a real person. It's not over edited where it shows the process and procedure. They know, my place is going to become a mess. That's okay. They know it sets proper expectations. But honestly, they get to know you. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. When they know you and they trust you and they see all these other people that have used you, people are also sheeple. They'll follow the crowd. If they know you've had 1 million people click on a video, they're more likely to click on that video. That's what that vanity metric is used for, is that confidence builder. And so that's what those original videos, they simply closed the deal for me. I didn't have to sell on site. I learned that, number one, sales is extremely important in this business. But number two, I could do the best sale I possibly could. I could edit it. I could get it out there for my customer. And when I got to the house, all I had to do was measure and play them my sales video, and it closed the deal.
Oh, it's so amazing. You know, last week we actually had Levi, who's a real estate agent in Dallas. So if you haven't watched that episode, make sure to go back and watch it. And what he said was, we have people that already know they want to work with us because they've watched our YouTube videos. We're not having to quote unquote cold call and sell and run advertisings. We're doing this because YouTube is bringing the right customers to us. So same thing in your business. Let's get to tip number 2, which is become a practitioner of getting attention on YouTube. I think this is something you definitely have mastered, Mike, because Stone Coat Countertops has over 247 million views on that channel. And I would love for you to break this down. Why is this so important as a business owner to understand? I love how you use the word practitioner, meaning this is something that you are studying and you're using and you are seeing all the ways that you could get more attention.
Yeah, practitioner is it, you have to constantly be studying this because it changes. It changes monthly, daily, weekly, yearly. If you aren't on your game, if you don't understand what humans are looking for today, it wasn't the same, especially that statement's never been more true than it is now. You know, I learned at the Think Media Grow with Video Live is people have less attention than a goldfish. You know, if goldfish can pay attention for 9 seconds, we're less. I learned about hook. I learned about title. I learned about thumbnail. I understood that if I don't get you to even first is your thumbnail. If they don't click on it, if they don't glance over to the right and look at that title, I could make the best video in the world. If I don't learn how to grab your attention, Gary Vee talks about his lemonade stand. He would watch where people's eyes went when they were driving through an intersection, so he knew where to put the booth. That is extremely true today. I think people overthink sales. They overthink these things. They kind of invest in a lot of artificial intelligence. It's not that complicated. If you wouldn't click on that thumbnail, if you wouldn't like that title, if you're not searching what your title says, stop listening to AI so much and start implementing common sense. Common sense isn't so common, but if you implement that, if you understand just the simple rule, if I wouldn't click on that video, if I wouldn't watch that ad in its entirety, why do I expect other people to do so? And so and then I just look at our analytics. I mean, we have the ability to look at metrics from other companies as well that are public. And if you don't study those and understand, and don't get jealous because they beat you, understand why they beat you and get better at it. That's I guess that's how I would start that. That's how you become a practitioner.
I love it. And, I think one thing for business owners specifically, or entrepreneurs or people who are doing something, you are a craftsman by trade. And so the idea of becoming a YouTuber, right, or becoming a content creator, you had to find the time to be able to make that possible. Talk to me just a little bit about what that looked like for you, because you were also still running a business. You have 4 sons, you're doing all the wrestling things, and life is full. And I know that when people are challenged with the idea of becoming a practitioner of something, that really it's the time that people think will hold them back. So just give me a little bit about what that looked like for you as a busy entrepreneur trying to figure this out to become a practitioner.
Well, you know, you're the queen of calendaring, right? You gotta decide what it is that you taught us about income producing activities. We took that to heart. I learned from Ed Milet the 3 6 hour days. So
Mhm.
you break your day up into 18 hours, and you literally plan each 6 hour day. I don't over plan. I put the bullet points of what it is I'm going to do, and I start with number one. And when that 6 hours is up, I go to the next one. And I've done that for so many years now that I do it automatically. And you know, if you do that, you get about 2.2 to 2.3 times the amount of information done in a day that your competition will. And if they're not focused on the IPA, the income producing activities, you're leaving them in the dust. So if you hustle, number one, Heather, I had to overcome addiction. I had to
Mhm.
get over the addiction. I had to get over the things that were holding me back. My wife and I had to learn to work as a team. We had to learn what our lanes were, but we had to make a choice. Do we want to continue being contractors and go down that road? We had to give up a lot of work. And that wasn't in my nature. I couldn't do it all. I had to walk away from a cabinet job that was the biggest bid I ever give, $40,000. I worked on this bid, and finally 2 years later, they came back and said, "Yes, we'll take your cabinets." And by that time, Stone Coat was in its third month. The first month
Mhm.
we did $300 in sales. The second month we did 3,000. The third month we did 26,000 in sales. So then I was at a crossroads. Do I build this cabinet job and put Stone Coat aside because it's 40K? I had to tell them I wouldn't do it. That was the hardest decision. But that same month, we did 40K at Stone Coat. The next month, we did 70K. And it just went from there. It went crazy. But if I didn't make that decision, once you get that momentum, you know how important it is to not lose that momentum. So it was a choice. It was planning. It was 3 6 hour days, and it was working our ever loving tails off. That's what it was.
Oh, I love it so much. And thank you so much for saying that you learned a lot of it at Grow with Video Live. Mike, Growth Video Live is in just a few short weeks. It's coming up. We've got it May 23rd, 24th, and we actually have a bonus day for business owners. We are hosting a platinum day, and today's video is brought to you by our Grow with Video Live platinum ticket at gwvlplatinum.com. And this is a day where we are going to be having a smaller group of like-minded business owners and entrepreneurs who are ready to learn the secret levers of success for other business owners who are winning with video. Just like Mike, who was able to scale his entire YouTube channel, but not just YouTube channel, his entire business with these different levers that are happening on video. This is not just YouTube. This is TikTok. This is video internal inside of your company. And this is all the social media platforms that you would want to use to grow your business. So if you would like to join us for that third day at Grow with Video Live and get access to a networking party, get access to like-minded individuals, and to be able to learn from guest experts like Alex and Layla Hermosi, you can get access to that by going to gwvlplatinum.com. And we want to give you 5% off of that ticket when you use the code GWVL show, because you are a listener and watcher of this show. So you can get access by going to gwvlplatinum.com, and we cannot wait to see you. We're going to be hosting it this year at the M Resort in Las Vegas. So you can fly in, come stay at the resort, be a part of what we're doing. And as a platinum ticket holder, you will also get the opportunity to take a photo with Gary Vaynerchuk and Patrick Bet-David, two of our featured speakers at Grow with Video Live this year. You can get all access at Grow with Video Live. Go to gwvlplatinum.com. And I cannot wait to share more about what that is like. And you, Mike, have been to our conferences. I remember the first one that you came to, and I remember you told me it was life changing for you and
Yes.
Catherine from the things that you were learning.
Absolutely. It's undersold, and you guys undersell and overproduce. The things that the action items that you gave us, literally we implemented them. We still do to this day. And being in that small table, I sat in that small table, and the people that we met, actually those relationships was what I think we took away from that. We've kept in touch. My wife has kept in touch with people from these masterminds of yours that have become lifelong friends, but we've helped one another. And honestly, that investment, that return on investment of what we learned at those events and who we met and the shoulders that we rubbed, you become a product of the 5 people you associate with most. When you put yourself in those rooms and you're a sponge and you take that stuff in, and you also give back, the unlocks that people can give to others create these lifelong friendships that are real. I didn't anticipate going to these events and making friends. That wasn't my goal, but that was obviously a consequence of it. And it changed our business in so much that it made us millions of dollars. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It made us millions and millions of dollars from the information that we learned. I remember listening to Celine Johnson, and one of the biggest things that she told my wife and I, we walked up to her and her husband after she presented, and we said, "How do you guys work together?" And she said something so simple. She said, "We've created lanes, and we've learned to stay within those lanes. And because of that, we're extremely happy in our business and our marriage." And that changed my wife and I's life forever, but it also helped us learn how to be a chief and an Indian. And the things that we learned from Owen Video, he was in that group with us, the friendship that we have with him, and the support that we love him, a young lady who worked for Gary Vee. We learned a lot about his business and how that started. And my goal was honestly to have a bigger trajectory than Gary Vee did when he built his wine business. And I got to tell you, Heather, we do. So when you see Gary Vee, you say, "I know someone who beat your trajectory," because we did. We started from zero and we grew that thing to a 9-figure business in 6 years. So we were very stoked about that.
I mean, incredible to see what you've been able to build because of the power of video. And I can't wait for you to be a part of Grow with Video Live this year. We are offering both in-person and virtual experience for this. So more on that to come. But let's get into tip number 3, Mike. And that is build content that leads to a marketing funnel. We don't want to just be creating content for content's sake, right? We're not just trying to grow, just our own egos. We are making content to go into a marketing funnel. Why is this so important for business owners?
Something that I learned from Sean actually in watching one of his older videos was have a thumbnail and title picked prior to even starting your production, which I always did the opposite of that. But that makes you think of what's the purpose of this content. Now, it doesn't have to be a greedy purpose, but if you're not getting somebody to another piece of your content, if that funnel doesn't take them to another video or a landing page or something that grabs their email so you could remarket to them, grabs their text, maybe you help them in another freemium where you give them a checklist so that they don't forget how to template countertops or whatever it is that I was teaching, you have to understand that if one of your videos goes viral organically, this is what we did, Heather. This is the biggest secret I could give your audience, is the algorithms want to be used for what they were designed for. They were designed for ads. They were designed for ads. If you have a product to sell, that means you should have an ad budget. If you're selling something, we took 20% of our gross volume and we put it back into advertising. And I learned that if something went organically viral, and I determined that viral on where we were, I didn't compare myself to Think Media. I compared myself to where was I that week. If our average video view was 100 and we hit 1,000, I knew that it was actually going out to more people because the algorithm liked it. I would put a little bit of an ad budget as that thing started to taper back down. And when I did that, it actually closed the deal if I had a purpose-driven piece of that content. If it was driving them to my website or to another video or to another piece of stone coat that they would eventually lead to a sale, because we all know a lot of people don't buy on the first impression. They need 5, 10, 15 impressions. When we got them to the next impression and it did its job, we learned that our revenue went up. And I didn't need that instant gratification. I didn't need to say, "Hey, look, we got a sale because of this video." I just looked at our gross volume and I knew the better video that I did, the more impressions that I put out to people, the more that I paid that algorithm to show people my content, the more sales we made. I kept it simple. I didn't overthink it. Honestly, I hired some agencies that did kind of overthink it. And when I did, it actually went down. When I realized, you know what, make good content that leads to the next step. And if I did that right, I would make more sales. I didn't overthink it. I took 20%, put it on, and that grows with you at scale. If you go 20% and your overall sales is 1,000, and then it goes to 100,000, your ad budget goes up, and you grow, and it compounds, and you get to 1.14 million subscribers. That's how.
Oh, come on. That's like a free masterclass in 5 minutes of exactly how to use the algorithm right. And Melissa said, mind blown. Great information. Yes, this is,
Oh,
I mean, if
thank
you're
you.
tuned in right now, you're learning from real life entrepreneur who's using the algorithm the right way. And I love how you said this. You're like, don't actually overthink it. Like, it
No.
doesn't have to get super crazy technical. You can learn this stuff super easy on YouTube. And here's what you're doing. You're producing great content. And then right here, our store and products. Click this link, right? And you're saying inside of this video, like down below, you can click the link. And then they click the link and voila, they're headed over right to your site to be able to purchase right on the site, right off of what you're actually teaching them from this epoxy masterclass. It's incredible what you guys have been able to build. And you know, this video is an hour and 30 minutes. You have some videos on your channel that are shorts now at, you know, less than 30 seconds. And you've got other videos that are 10 minutes long. So you're mixing up the content also, trying to find what is working for people. And here's what I also love too. You talked about this a little bit earlier. You said choosing the thumbnail and the title before you even get started, because this is your top of funnel. When you're creating a marketing funnel, YouTube is the top of that. So that's the first thing they're going to see as they go through that journey as a customer who wants to buy eventually. If you're getting value out of this right now and you're watching live, click that like button. And if you know an entrepreneur who needs to be hearing this information, I want to encourage you to share this video out with the link here on YouTube to help other people learn how to use YouTube. Number 4, Mike, this is kind of the second part, but number 4, you want to build your remarketing list through your content. Talk a little bit about this, because I hear this so much. The fortune is in the follow-up, right? So people are on YouTube, they're watching all your videos, they're doing all this, but remarketing is actually huge when it comes to getting someone, because they need to see something more than one time before they make a purchase. So how did you utilize this to grow your business to over 9 figures?
If you rely on the algorithms being your best friend, you're going to find out that Facebook all of a sudden stops putting any of your content out to all of your friends, and now it's like to 10 people. They'll change overnight. If you don't own that audience, if you don't have a way to connect with them and say, you know what, I actually like Instagram this week better, go check out this Instagram post. If you can't connect with them, and honestly, if you look at banner ads 15 years ago, people actually clicked on banner ads. If you look at email lists 10 years ago, people open the majority of their email. People get over advertised too. So you have to, again, become a practitioner of how you connect with people. Right now, I would say that text, SMS, like that is a really smart move. If I look at all of my texts. If you have my phone number, that means I like you enough to have shared that with you. People share their email far more than their own phone number. So the way that you can build your list to remarket, it needs to be up to date and current. You can't just say, okay, I watched this video from 5 years ago and this is how to do it. Be current of what's the easiest, least amount of friction to get to somebody, and then don't waste their time. Bring them value with each and every thing that you send to them. If I get a bunch of emails in my email box that I know aren't that valuable to me, I'm going to quit opening it. So I was very careful at how I did remarket, but when I did, it was purpose driven. I gave them value, and then I asked for a sale. Sometimes I wouldn't even ask for a sale. I'd ask them to go watch something different. So we built an email list of well over 100,000 people, and anything that bounces, we kill it. We keep that fresh, we keep that clean, and that's a real email list. We built a Facebook group of over 85,000 people. We started doing the SMS, and we have ways that people can get in touch with us that are our lifers who've been with us from the beginning. We protect and we serve our customers that have served us and support us. So really build your community in every way that you can that makes sense and makes sense for your brand.
Yeah, we don't own our subscribers. So we don't own our views, but it is a free way for us to get in front of the right people that do want to go deeper with us. And one thing that I tell new entrepreneurs that are starting their YouTube channels, I always say, have a way for someone to go deeper with you, even if it's a free checklist, even if it's I love how you said the text message. I have a friend that she's putting videos out, and all she's asking is if people want to get 5 free text message reminders from her that will help them in what she's teaching. And so she's building her list because, like you said, we don't own any of this. It's rented land, but man, I'm going to work this land, right? I'm going to make sure that I'm working this land. And to have a list of 100,000 people, that is where a new product comes. You've got a list. When you want to launch a new thing, you've got a list. When you want to share someone else's products or someone else in your community that you love, you have a list. And people love to be a part of communities where it's like-minded and they want to go deeper with you. So I love that you said building that remarketing list. Now, I actually think that number 5 is probably the most important for any business owner when it comes to being in business, right? Not a hobby, but being in business and actually selling your products. But before we get into that, Mike, I want to just share this cool video of what people can expect at Grow with Video Live 2022 this year.
This thing is your gateway to get out of the thing that you complain about.
But people would rather complain about how it is than put in the work.
We need to start understanding how big this opportunity is, because for everybody in this room, you will sit back in 20, 30 years and regret if you didn't execute in this era.
It has never been a better time in the human race ever to actually just go all in on you. Regardless of what you're trying to accomplish, you've got to tell the world about it. This is now the world. If you're not betting on this, you're finished. This is your golden era right now. There's never been a better time to be you. This is the greatest golden era of not only business, but life. I desperately want you to win, but this is on you.
Growth Video Live is coming up in just a few short weeks. And for watching this show and being a part of this, if you want to join us for our Platinum experience, you can go to Grow with Video Live. You can go to our gwvlplatinum.com, and we have a discount code for you, GWVL Show. If you want to join into an experience like Mike Quist had when he came to Grow with Video Live, where you're able to be in the room with amazing business owners like Alex and Layla Hermosi, Sean Cannell, and so many more, you want to claim your ticket right now for the virtual or in-person experience at Grow with Video Live, GWVLplatinum.com. Get 5% off because we want you to have value, but we want to jump into number 5. I say we as if I'm in a room with someone. I'm by myself here, Mike. So it's you and me.
Hey, we're right here. We're right here, Heather. We got this.
I mean, I would say your right here looks a lot better than my right here. I mean, the beautiful white background is it's just epic. So number 5 for any business owner is you have to have a fantastic product that you believe in. We don't want people to just be selling crappy products. Mike, why is this important when you're trying to grow your YouTube channel as a business owner?
I've seen this a lot. I've actually gone to a lot of conferences. Not just yours. Because we got so much value out of your conference, it actually taught us to invest in ourselves and our education. We hired mentors. We invested into a lot of people that are where we wanted to be, and we followed that advice, and we did it quickly. We didn't sit on our hands. But when I saw a lot of people at these events, a lot of them were floundering and kind of looking for, they knew they wanted to be a YouTuber, but they were kind of forcing a round peg in a square hole or vice versa. And I don't like that. I think you need to have serious expertise in something. If you're going to share it with people and say it's valuable, don't fabricate it. Don't have something generic. Actually know what it is you're talking about. If you're going to be a business coach and you haven't done a business, there are way too many people who are advertising that they have information that's going to change your life when ultimately they haven't even done it. And so I know I hope that doesn't sound too rude, but I don't like that. I'd say, I was a contractor. I worked with my dad, building homes and making windows and remodeling. I served as his helper, as his gopher. I was in the trenches my entire life. I learned how to I could teach somebody how to remodel anything in a house. I know these countertops that I teach. I know everything about a kitchen, not just the counters. I helped our customers with their plumbing over the phone because I knew how to do it. I wasn't just kind of peddling a product. And I tried everything, every product in my niche, in so much that I worked with the chemist hand in hand to make sure we had the best. I didn't just quickly launch something. I know there's people who've done that successfully, but I would say when you're truly an expert at what, Sean says, and I've lived by this, overnight success takes 10 years. If you work in the trench and you know that you have to be an expert in this thing and you become that expert, then by all means share it and have a product that you truly believe in. Because if you don't, the internet is a small neighborhood. Your reviews are everything. And you can't lie on Facebook and Google reviews. Those are real customers. You can't lie on Amazon reviews. Those are real customers. The reviews have become what everybody looks at to see if you're lying. And when you tell the truth, my book is how I made $1 million telling the truth on YouTube. When you tell the truth and people get your product, they're going to test it. They're going to test it. And when you tell them the truth, your reorder rate is phenomenal. And so that's what we based it on, is stuff that I knew about, that my wife knew about. We didn't lie to anybody. We didn't pretend it was better than it really was. And we undersold and overproduced. And we also invested in our team like you wouldn't believe, that supported our product. We didn't leave our customers hanging where they didn't have the information they needed to be successful with it.
As a business owner, you got to have a product that you believe in and that and that you are actually able to help people. And I love even the authenticity of what Ryan said. Ryan's one of our success students inside of Video Ranking Academy. He's coming to Growth Video Live this year virtually, and he said, "That's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out what product I have to offer that I can believe in and bring value." And I think it's really important to know that you don't want to just be selling anything. You want to, if you want to be in business, in real business, and not just take people's money, then, you business owners are an exchange of knowledge and services for a profit. And so I love that is such a huge piece, is you got to believe in what you're doing. Because, going back to the beginning of your story, Mike, when you and Catherine started Stonecoat and you started making these videos on YouTube, millions of dollars were not coming in at that point. And so you had to believe in your product and your service to such an extreme level that you had to see what was unseen, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's pretty important to make sure that is huge. You touched on this. We're going to jump into number 6, which was build a team based on performance. And I'd love for you to share, what is the team like, your video side of the team, and how did you build that? What was your first hire, and what did that look like for you as a business owner going into the content space and really growing that YouTube side of your business?
Originally, it was just me learning how to use Wondershare, Filmora, learning how to use Windows Movie Maker was the first thing that I used on that FlipShare, learning how to just make a simple cut. Honestly, your channel, Think Media, is what I would go to as my learning channel. That's how I learned to edit and what cameras to buy and all. Actually, the biggest thing that made a difference to me is why I became a Think Media a fan, was because Sean took a little bit of time out of his day to reach out to me and help me that nobody else knew about. He didn't get paid for it, and he didn't tell anybody about it. He did it just out of the kindness of his heart. And that's when I knew, if I don't do that for other people, I won't build those lifelong relationships. I did that for other people by examples like that. And so the team that we built was based on need. I was literally sometimes editing 24 hours straight, knowing that I had to get content out to sell more product, because the better content I got out, the more our sales went up. And so sometimes I'd sit in a chair for 24 hours, sometimes longer, editing video. I'd make the video, I'd edit the video. I knew I needed help. And so I started running ads for a video creator, somebody who had experience and knew how to do these things. And the people that are interviewed, they weren't a good fit for me. I'm a very type A personality. I'm very particular. Sometimes hard to work with. And I knew I didn't want to surround myself on a daily manner with somebody who might be a negative situation. And I actually had a blessing where a friend of mine who was working in our shipping department, he said, "Hey, I saw your ad, Mike, and I came in and I wanted to interview for this job." I said, "Well, Chris, do you know how to edit?" He goes, "Well, I know how to edit." I go, "Do you know how to film? Have you ever used?" He goes, "No, I don't." But the biggest thing that he told me was, "But I'll learn how." And I said, "Okay, you'll learn how." And I had just bought, because I bought it through your Amazon link on Think Media. It was a Canon 70D. And that's back when that was the best camera kind of for my situation. And I gave him this camera. I said, "Chris, you can't break this camera. This is all I could afford. Don't mess it up." He's like, "I won't mess it up." He took that camera home over the weekend. He came back, and like a Marine with his rifle, he knew how to disassemble it. He knew every function. He knew how to use it. The kid was a computer whiz, but he was working in our shipping department. I said, "Hey," I gave him the same test that I gave the other people that we interviewed for our editing positions. And he sat down there and he did better than they did in a shorter amount of time. And these guys won like the Sundance Film Festival, and he did a better job. So what I learned was, if you build from within, if you teach people your system, your process, your procedure, we were doing enough right that there was a lot of value for whoever was on our team. And so I gained confidence that not only do I need you, but what I have to give to them would ultimately teach anybody that worked for us in that capacity. Any of your team, Heather, could go out and start their own multi-million-dollar business by the information they're learning behind the scenes. And that's what I brought to the table, and they brought to the table. It had to be a good attitude. It had to be a 6-hour times 3 work ethic. It had to be, we call it the bamboo cage. And I hope I'm not taking too much time, but this is important. Yeah. There was a man who was shot down over Vietnam, and he was put into prison during the Vietnam War. His plane was shot down. He was captured. He was a civilian, and he was put into this bamboo cage. And the bamboo cage didn't allow him to sit up. It didn't allow him to really bend his knees. It was a long, slender cage. And he was in this cage for 7 years. Mm-hmm. I read this story about this man, and he was so distraught. He tried to kill himself through a rope that they had on his neck. He couldn't. He just made him pass out. He was in such a distraught manner, but he ended up being released after the war. He lived through it. His story was amazing, but sometimes myself and my team would complain about our seats on an airplane, or we would complain about silly things. And I always went back to, if this man survived a bamboo cage for 7 years, I could sit in an uncomfortable airplane seat for 6 hours. And so learning those principles and teaching them, and also becoming a practitioner of learning, studying motivation, studying positivity, studying the power of positivity, studying sales, studying what other people have done that have built teams that I want to emulate, is how I built the team that I did. And then I had to modify it massively. A lot of times, we would go somewhere and go a direction, and it wasn't the right direction. It wasn't the right team. And what it became was, my wife is the one who built our team. I started sending people to her because she learned from you, Heather, how to interview. She learned from people like you and Sonny Leonard-Doozy how to interview. And when she did that, she started getting the right people because it was their why. They started working for us because of their why, and they were hungry, and they wanted to be a part of something instead of just have a job. And when we learned that, and we learned how to surround ourselves with people that we wanted around us, it made if you're around negativity, you're already done. You can't be around it. It has to be a positive atmosphere, or else you're gonna flounder.
Whew, I mean, bring in the fire. That story is incredible, Mike. And, we really, we preach that. I do definitely to our team too. We have an incredible person on our team who served in the military, was a sniper. Then was in CSI. And so sometimes when I'm sitting and I'm like, oh my gosh, my life is so hard. I'm like, I'm also not sitting in the middle of a desert holding a gun that might have to end someone's life. Like, just the idea of the pressures, and just the idea of, you want to surround yourself with the right people. But I love that you gave that editor a chance. And, sometimes you got to kiss a few frogs before you find the prince, and the idea that you don't even know where those are going to come from. We just did some hires here at Think Media. We actually doubled our team because of everything that's happening with this brand. And when we went to go look for people, we hired internally. We hired people that have been a part of Video Ranking Academy, that understand that we are the rise and grind, that we work hard when we work hard and we play hard when we play hard, but that we're on a mission and we're not just here just to get a paycheck, but we want to impact people's lives. And I think it's really great that you brought even just that culture of just even knowing the type of people you want to be around when you're building your team. So it's super important that, you're building that team. I love how you said too, based on performance. Like, you're not just giving out a paycheck to give a paycheck. This is about being on mission and understanding that even through craftsmanship, even through video creation, that you're changing people's lives and that this becomes an impact in society in a good way. So I love that you're building teams. And I also, there was a key point that you said there too, was you didn't do this alone. And I think a lot of times people think, oh yeah, I'm the only one that can do that. No, there are people that can do it better than you. And so getting rid of the ego and the idea that someone else is going to do it better than you, I always say, good. I want that. I want someone else doing it better than me, because then I can focus on what I know I've been called to do. All right. Tip number 7, Mike, we're going to bring that up in just a minute. If you're getting value right now, share in the comments if you're watching live. What's been your aha moment so far? Mike, I want to say thank you before we get into number 7. Thank you for being such an incredible student. Thank you for being someone who has supported us, invested with us, has cheered us on, has done life with us. I think it's so incredible that we've seen our kids grow up together, and it's just really cool to be able to see this journey. And I appreciate you for your time. I know that your time is super valuable. And so to me, it's just an honor to be able to be here with you. I love seeing this, that we've got some aha moments happening in the chat. Again, you can get your ticket to Growth Video Live at gwvlplatinum.com. If you want to join business owners like Mike to go deeper on a third day at our conference, and we've got a 5% coupon for you. But number 7, I think, is probably the best way to end this 7 tips. And that is, you got to fail, you got to learn, you got to grow. Right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Fail forward. I call it, I studied successful people, and the common denominator, success defined as financially, the common denominator was people who are successful make fast decisions and they course correct as needed. If you're going to the moon in a rocket ship, you're only on trajectory 3% of the time. You always have to course correct. Don't be afraid to fail, because every time you do, you learn something, but you course correct so fast that you mitigate the consequence. You learn from it. The information that you could bring in from a test. And the beautiful thing is when I started advertising, I started with $20. I didn't have to go invest in a billboard in Las Vegas. I got to spend $20 to see if it brought me in a return on investment. And when I realized I spent 20 and made 200, that's a pretty big ROI. Okay, how do we scale that? Let's try $40. And we got to do it not in a gambling fashion, but in a learning and growing fashion. After you learn these things about your business, about yourself, about what worked for you, honestly, Heather, I could look at any product-based business, and I know this sounds cocky. I could learn it. I could look at any product-based business, and I could see immediately what they could do to implement these things to explode their business. It becomes like a muscle that you've grown, you've worked out, and you've done these things so fast and so often that you could implement them. And we've started many other businesses. We've built a real estate business with commercial real estate. We've done it with short-term vacation rentals. We built websites. I've started an art business. I'm in galleries. Everything is really like a cog that works together. When you learn these simple business principles of how to use video to grow your influence and ultimately your audience that wants to support your products, when you learn these principles and you learn how to use the tools, the windows, like Heather mentioned earlier, that right now, I may not own my YouTube audience, but I'm definitely going to use this opportunity. The window's wide open. If you keep jumping through the wide open windows and you don't go slow, you're not afraid to fail. You're not afraid to make mistakes. When you get rid of the fear and you just are testing, and also don't be afraid to say, I got that wrong. I learned. Say everything's my fault. When you say everything is your fault, when you make a mistake or anybody on your team or your business makes a mistake, then you learn what you could do to fix it. When you blame it on everybody else around you, it's always their fault. You can't fix it. So when you fail or your company fails, take it on yourself. Hey, that was my fault. Maybe I hired the wrong person. Maybe I gave them too much responsibility. Maybe I put too much on an ad. Maybe I didn't look at the comments well enough. Just don't be afraid to fail. Always be learning. Like if you're not reading, if you're not studying, if you're not stop watching content that doesn't move the needle for you. If you're wasting your time on videos with cats playing with balls of yarn and you're not studying personal motivation or how to overcome your skeletons in your closets, if you're not constantly just putting in the good, you dwell in what you dwell on. Stop doing, like we do this thing called start, stop, continue. Every time we run a campaign, every time we make a decision, we look back at that and we go, what should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we continue doing? When you follow those principles, you have nowhere to go but up. You're always going to climb that mountain to success when you're constantly auditing your performance and be real about it. Don't be afraid to be the dumbest one in the room. I like being the dumbest one in the room because that means I'm around geniuses. Because I've become pretty smart. Heather, I didn't learn how to read until 8th grade. I was literally in special ed classes. I didn't know how to read. I was very scared to really fail. I was embarrassed of everything that I did. But when I learned that I need to lean into my higher power, I need to lean into my loved ones. I need to trust in the right people and the right power. That's what overcomes that fear. For God have not given us the spirit of fear, right? So that's where I'll go with that, because that's really, I mean, everything that we've been able to accomplish is because we followed principles that are not just temporal, but they're also spiritual.
Come on, Mike. And I can, for the people in the back, did you hear that one? That is so incredible. And Mike, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing just the entire story. You know, I think sometimes we see people up and we put them on a pedestal, but just understanding that it comes with the learning and the growing and the failing and the, looking at it twice, and just so amazing. And thank you for sharing all of those pieces of what you're doing, and what an inspiring story that you have. So incredible. Thank you for joining me for the Grow with Video live show. I like to do this at the very end, Mike. I think it's super fun, just for people to get to know you a little bit more. I'm going to do some rapid fire questions for you. So the first thing that comes to mind, you tell me what it is. Number one, what is one book every entrepreneur should read?
This is a trick question, and I knew you were going to ask this, but I'll tell you a book I just read on the airport coming home. My wife and I we met some YouTubers, and we become lifelong friends with them. We helped them. We taught them what you taught us, and now we're lifelong artists till death. We're lifelong friends. We went out to their wedding in Cancun, Mexico, and at this resort was so incredible. The service, the customer service, the people, the Mexican people were the most loving people you've ever been around. They were so kind. Everything was just perfect. And we're in the hospitality business now. So I'm like studying the rooms and why do I feel so good? They actually made their steps 1 inch shorter. So when you're hiking their stairs, you feel like you're like in a different realm, but I read the origin story of the man who started this resort. And I read that entire book, but I learned that it's not always in the sales book. It's not always in the marketing book or the business book. You can learn these tricks. And this guy started, it's called Xcaret. It's Xcaret, Xcaret or something like that. I'm a gringo. I don't know how to say it, but I learned so much from his book, and it taught me what we did right without knowing it. And then I study, like this morning, I'm studying this book called The Hawk Method, and it's about marketing, and it's about this company that knows how to market. But the book that changed my life was The Millionaire Next Door. I learned about this guy who started a janitorial business, and he was comparing that to pro athletes, and pro athletes got over leveraged and an entourage and all these bills. The moment that he stopped working, they went bankrupt. But this guy who started a janitorial business, oh my goodness, what it unlocked for me was learn a trade. Learn a skill that other people don't want to do. And if it's changing toilets, by all means, I'll change toilets. And I got very good at changing toilets, and I got very good at building a humble team in the trades that taught me the foundation of business. So The Millionaire Next Door would be, but also search around, like read the first chapter of a book, and if it's a waste of time, I guess put it aside. Don't waste your time. But I love information. I'm studying information all the time.
Oh, so good. All right. What was the best advice you've been given as an entrepreneur?
Gosh, that's a hard one. The best advice: whether you say you can or whether you say you can't, you're always right. And
So
my
good.
my mom has been saying that to me since I was a little chubby fat football player.
One cool thing that you've done since you have grown your business to 9 figures.
I moved my family to Hawaii so that I could focus on my wife and kids to a degree that they deserve. You know, in building our business, we didn't have any idea where it was going, and it took me away from my children. And honestly, we were able to sell our YouTube channel for over $25 million. And that allowed me to not worry about money anymore, and allowed me to help people. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not only helping my wife and kids, they're helping me, but I get to give of my time, my talents, and my interest freely. And Denzel Washington said, "Each one teach one." Reach back and help the people that are trying to get to where it is you are. And I love doing that to people who take action. Nothing frustrates me more than giving. The problem with giving stuff away for free is people don't value it nearly as much as if they paid for it. So I'm giving them $1 million nuggets, and they're leaving them in the gutter. And some of them that pick them up and they do it. I mean, this man that I'm working with right now, just a few things that, again, were clear to me, and now he's implementing, it's changing his life. And that is now what you say is your why. That's become my why.
So good. All right. Last one. What is something right now you're doing that you're excited about?
I'm excited about my new YouTube channel. Am I allowed to talk about that?
You are. Let's go for it.
My new YouTube channel is called just Mike Quist. It's my name, and I learned about personal branding from you guys. And honestly, it's I share what's most important to me on that channel, and I love teaching. My passion is business. I love business. I've studied Zig Ziglar and Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy, these original OG sales guys, since I was a very young guy. I mean, while other people were listening to Metallica, I'm listening to Zig Ziglar and like jogging to Zig Ziglar. Like, I love understanding that information can empower you and change your life, and these principles, they transcend all business. And so I'm sharing things that I've been studying since I was a young man, and I'm doing it in a way for people like me who are in the trades, people who are into art or crafts, or a lot of these people don't understand how to use video. Like your audience, it's a different level. It's a different level. My audience, like when you guys came and spoke at our event, they hadn't heard of Think Media, but their minds were blown, and the line was out the door to buy your course because they understood the value of it. And so honestly, I can't wait to share again with my new audience. Well, it's people who are really just our lifers. It's like you also taught, you only need 1,000 people that believe in what it is you're doing. You don't need a huge audience. 1,000 people, you're huge at that point if you truly have 1,000 real fans. So that's what I'm excited about, is my new channel. And I don't know where it's going, but I kind of do. You just build that audience and give them so much value that when I do decide where we're going to go with that, they'll support it.
So awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for all of the knowledge that you've brought to us. What an incredible show. I mean, I'm just blown away by just who you are, the impact you're making in the world, just what you're building, the legacy you're leaving for your kids. Go ahead. What did you say?
I just wanted to say one thing, because I don't know if you're going to end this, and I just want to say it before you do. When I came out to one of your events, one thing that you and Sean did is you weren't afraid to get vulnerable, which gave me permission to understand that people like me for who I am. And if I truly share those things, that's where we change the world. You actually invited everybody who came to one of your events Sean was speaking at his church, and my wife and I got on that bus, and what we learned from him getting vulnerable, what we learned going to your congregation, and the love and the joy that you guys shared with each other gave me permission to get real and to talk about my real why. And I want to thank you guys for doing that for your entire audience. I know I'm not the only one who sees that, but it changed my wife and I. That was probably the biggest thing that ever changed our life. So thank you guys for being vulnerable yourselves.
Wow. Well, thank you, Mike. I mean, the love is mutual both ways. We're just inspired by all that you're doing. And if you would like to follow Mike, you can follow him over on his brand new channel over at Mike Quist on YouTube, and drop some love, like this video. And so grateful for you, Mike, for all that you're doing, and Growth Video Live. Are you pumped? Are you excited for this year?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Gary
Oh,
Vee,
yeah.
Patrick Bet David, Alex, Mike, we've never done anything like this. It's incredible.
Every one of your, when you were showing your sizzle reel, I'm going, I love these people. Oh my gosh. I'm fired up. I got chills. I'm like, oh man, you guys have a lineup that is strong. The only thing I'm mad about is I'm not in that lineup. So when I prove to you that I've become good enough, you put me in that lineup, because I'll outspeak every one of them. Bring it on, Heather.
Let's go. All right. Well, I am so pumped for Growth Video Live to see you in just a few short weeks, Mike. It's going to be a reunion like none other. It's going to be so incredible. But you can grab your ticket right now at gwvlplatinum.com if you'd like to upgrade to the platinum experience. And we will catch you in the next show. Make sure you're subscribed here on the channel, like this video, and we'll see you in the next Growth Video Live show. Do you want to get in the room with experts like Gary Vaynerchuk, Patrick Bet David, Vanessa Lau, Pat Flynn, Chalene Johnson, and more? And would you like to meet hundreds of other creative entrepreneurs just like you? Well, then do not miss the chance to get around creators and business influencers at Growth Video Live 2022 conference. You can actually lock in your limited discounted tickets at growthvideolive.com, or you can click the link in this post or in the description. Now, if you want to learn the best new strategies for getting views on YouTube and the most proven and profitable ways to grow online, then do not miss this life-changing event. You can join us in person in Las Vegas or virtually from around the world. Secure your ticket at growthvideolive.com and take the fast track to dominating the next decade, not just with YouTube, but with video. Go to growthvideolive.com or click the link in this post or in the description to secure your limited time discounted ticket.